Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melanie, and today we are going to be talking about our journey, our experience through sleep training. We did sleep training for our son. We started when he was just shy of 6 months, by like a week or two. That's kind of when studies suggest sleep training, if you are going to do it, when their brains are developmentally ready for real sleep training. Now, you can do things in routines prior to that may help your baby sleep through the night, but some babies are stubborn and don't really get the message, so you may need to sleep train if you do choose to go that direction. So around 5 months is kind of when they say to do that. Through life events, we had to push it back just a tad. So first of all, I'm going to kind of explain what our life looked like prior to sleep training, our sleep training experience, and where we are now, because he is 7 months old. So we're about a month and a half, maybe a month into the benefits of sleep training, and kind of what's happened after sleep training. So what our life looked like was crazy to think about it, to think about what moms and dads, but mostly moms, just go through is just wild. Okay, so Eli was waking up on average from the time he was born to the day we started sleep training, waking up probably 2 to 5, 6 times a night. 2 was extremely rare, but we'll throw it in there. Yeah, so it was insane. I would wake up, and because I'm exhausted, and then I have, a husband next to me that's tired, that would help me and take him in the morning, so he would need sleep to wake up in the morning. And then he also, after paternity leave, went back to work. So I had a husband next to me that needed sleep also. So in order to get Eli back to sleep and to get some sort of rest in the nighttime, I immediately put him to breast and fed him. I breastfed, and that was kind of just our saving grace. I'd stick him on, he would fall back asleep. We were at the time room sharing. He was first in a bassinet next to me, and then he got a little bit bigger and kind of started wiggling a little bit more, rolling, and so we put him in a pack and play, and that was in the corner of our bedroom, because the house that we previously lived in, his room would be like the guest bedroom, the nursery would be downstairs. There was only the master bedroom upstairs, and because 1, I was getting up multiple times a night, and 2, he's our precious little baby. We didn't want him that far, and I definitely did not want to be climbing stairs multiple times a night. So that was our experience, right? Okay, so he's in our room. I want sleep. I have a husband that needs sleep, and a baby that needs sleep. We didn't really have a bedtime routine. I tried a few times. I couldn't. I could. But I just didn't get into the habit of that routine, which I'm making mental notes and stuff of things I want to do different for the next child. But yeah, so we didn't have a bedtime routine, and he never had a set waking up time either. So fast forward, we are desperate. It was hard on our marriage, right? Because we're both not getting sleep. We're stressed, and so we're kind of just snapping at each other, just very short with each other. And obviously we got through it and we're fine, but some days weren't easy or fun. And so it was kind of to the point where we were just fed up. I was at my wit's end. I couldn't do it. There was multiple nights I would be crying. I'd be crying because I was at such a loss. He wasn't progressing on his own to sleep through the night. Like, there's a lot of kids, or some, I don't know, kids that learn to just sleep through the night by themselves, or extend their sleeping hours at night by themselves. Maybe it's not all the way through the night, but they're doing 6 to 8 hours by themselves. Eli never got that. Eli never got that memo. Now, I will say, I think that part of it was we were waking each other up. Nick might snore, make a noise, I turn in bed. He hears that, right? Because we were room sharing. So I think partly he was waking up because of us. And any peep he would make, I would jump up and take him because I wanted to go back to sleep and I wanted Nick to be able to sleep. So that was kind of our life. We were just at our wit's end. We were like, no, we're done. So all throughout my, even before I was pregnant, I've heard of taking care of babies. And I think taking care of babies for me is the one that I related to. So she had a version of sleep training, which is a version of the cry it out method, with pop-ins. You go in and check on your baby. I was like, okay, like, crying's inevitable with babies. Like, that is just the reality of life with kids. Your kids are going to cry. I knew I probably couldn't get around crying. So that was the one that I gravitated to. And so we did the taking care of babies sleep training, the ABCs of sleep, I think she calls it. I think it's worth every single penny. It truly has given our life back. And I know that sounds so dramatic, but again, waking up on average let's just round it up and say like 4 to 6 times a night, it's magical again to sleep. Like, it is truly an undescribable feeling sometimes, like, to be able to sleep when you haven't. Okay, I'm so sorry. You may see my cat in the background. He wanted to come into the room. Okay, so we are going from 4 to 6 feedings a night, and eventually I obviously wanted to try to sleep through the night. So we had to wean down on feedings, and she has a whole section of weaning feedings. Let me quickly say something about her program. What I loved about her program is that she had videos. It wasn't just something you read. So something I learned by kind of hearing and seeing people and, really diving deep into people's experiences. What I also love is she gives scientific backup to what she's saying and the reason why kids need sleep and why it's okay to let them cry and all of these things, right? And it just reassured me and made me feel like I was truly making the right decision for Eli and for our family. Technically start with however many feedings you want, but she suggests, doing 2 at a specific time. So that's what we did. We started out with feedings at the specific time she tells us, and then you start with a set number of minutes, because in this case I am breastfeeding. I'm not giving formula. If you're giving formula, you would give a set number of ounces. And then for my case, for breastfeeding, I would start with a number and then slowly go down till I got to about 5-ish minutes. The second thing was I needed to create a bedtime routine. So that's what we did. Thankfully, at the same time we were starting this, we were also moving into our current home. What is great about this home is Eli has his own bedroom and it's right down the hall. It's not downstairs. So obviously, we could, hi Leo, are you in the video? Hi buddy. He was right down the hall. Okay, you had your moment. Thank you. I could create a bedtime routine. We had his new room, it was all set up, and he was very close to us if, you know, we needed to do pop-ins. Okay, so what our bedtime routine right now looks like, and was the same then, still same today. We put him in his nighttime diaper, in his jammies, in his sleep sack, and then I feed him. And then it's adapted a little bit. So then it was feeding him. Then I would read him a little short story. We would pray, turn off the lights, and I would sing him a little goodnight song and put him down. The only thing that has changed is sometimes he doesn't make it to the bedtime story, so I've been reading to him as I'm feeding him. So that's kind of what our bedtime routine was. So pop-ins. She describes them as a pop-in, and what that is literally kind of what it sounds like, is you go in and you see if he's okay. You know, you check, see if any of his limbs are like in one of like the poles, or he wet his diaper and it's leaking, he got sick or not. If everything's good, you know you just fed him and everything else is good, you've kind of done all you can do. And it's up to the baby to learn how to put himself to sleep. And this is the part that every parent, every mom dreads, is just hearing your baby just cry with what seems like no end. But let me tell you, there is an end. There is an end. Now, I will say that from my understanding, obviously I only have one child, I've only done this once. From my understanding, Eli picked it up pretty fast. But I think a lot of kids, if you start at the appropriate age, pick it up. They're ready. They're mentally ready. They want to sleep. They need to sleep. Their bodies know they need to sleep. It's just everything else that needs to catch up to that. So let me get on my notes. The first night is obviously going to be one of the hardest. I would say nights 1 through 3 could be pretty rough. For us, night 1 was obviously the roughest. Now, I will say that we had tried to do a little of our version of sleep training during naps for a while now. We would let him cry a little bit, kind of tire himself out, and then we'd come and like pat his butt or do whatever we needed to do to get him to sleep. That's kind of what we had previously done for a few months now. So I had personally gotten used to hearing him cry. So when it came to sleep training and he was crying on end, it was a little bit easier for me because I had heard that. I had gotten used to that. So I will say that. But the first night, we put him to bed at 7:21. I did a first pop-in at 7:26, a second pop-in at 7:37, and then I chose to stop doing pop-ins because it would anger him. He would get so mad that I was leaving and not picking him up. Like, you're not allowed to pick them up. You can touch them, you can say I love you and good job, but you can't pick them up. So he got mad. So I stopped doing them for a little bit, and then I decided to go back in at 8. And it did calm him down that time, and he fell asleep at 8:08 that night. I went in and fed him at the designated time, and then he woke up at 12:48. I went in at 12:53. He calmed down, but then got re-mad. Then I went at a 1:03, calms completely, then he gets re-mad when I leave. He calmed down around 1:14. He turned onto his side, started playing with the rails on the crib. It looked like he was trying to turn to his belly. At 1:20, he got mad again, started crying, and then at 2 o'clock, he fell asleep. So he was up for a while there. He was up 12:48 to 2 o'clock. At 3:15, I did a pop-in, because he was crying. I did a pop in at 3:38. He was crying really hard, kind of breathing heavy. Then fell back asleep at 4:02. So that was a little bit faster. So another thing is you're not supposed to feed them if they're crying, because then they associate, oh, I get fed when I cry. So this training is supposed to kind of knock that off, right? So you go in there when they're asleep. So I had to wait till he was asleep for 5 to 10 minutes and then go back in there. Which is hard because when I wanted to sleep at 2, I just want to help my baby. But I had to wait. He had to learn to put himself to sleep. So then I went and fed him, and then he woke up at 6:35 and we fed. Our goal at the very beginning, with no knowledge of how this was going to go, our goal was to sleep in until 7. Eli has other plans. He still is an early riser. He's always been an early riser. Even when he was in my belly, he would wake up and start kicking me at 5 o'clock every morning. So he has not changed. He wakes up now at 6, and she will say, don't get your baby out of the crib before 6, even if they're awake. So that's what we do. We wait till 6 if he wakes up prior to that. That morning was different. Now, I'm not going to go into every single night because the sleep training is 14 nights. But I will say that he woke up a few times night 2, woke up a few times night 3. And night 4 was a dramatic change. Dramatic. Night 4, we got rid of one of the feedings, and we were only down to 1 feeding. He went to bed at 7:55. He went to sleep at 8:12. He woke up at 12:40, cried a little bit, and was asleep by 1:07. At 3:30, I fed him, and he woke up at 8:05. Okay? Night 4, he basically slept through the whole night. Basically. Like, he was very close. Like, he woke up for, what is that, 27 minutes? We went from waking up 6 times a night to only being awake once for 27 minutes by night 4. Now again, he regressed a little bit. I'm not going to say this kid is perfect or he was amazing. Like, that was amazing for us. But night 5, he regressed a little bit. Woke up maybe twice. By night 6, he went to bed at 7. Asleep at 7:03. 3 minutes to go to sleep. He woke up at 5:40, and then I got him out of bed at 6 o'clock. He had slept through the night. Okay? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Life-changing. Life-changing. But then again, there were some regressions, and, life happens. And that's what you have to realize, is life happens. And, there were some wake-ups, and then they were sleeping through the night, and there were some wake-ups, and they were sleeping through the night. And also life happens. You can hear that I'm, putting him to sleep at 6:50, 7, 7:45, 6:30, 6:36. I'm not putting him to bed at the same exact time by the minute, every single night. Life happens. Schedules in the day happen. Naps are going to throw them off, right? If they have great naps, when they're on schedule, great. If they have short naps, you may have to put them to bed earlier. If they have really long naps or something, or long wake windows and their naps get pushed, you may have to put them to sleep later, or you're out to dinner. Okay, life happens. Now, don't make life happen too much in these 2 weeks that you're going to do sleep training. She says, don't travel, don't do this when they're teething, don't do this when they're sick. Obviously, too much life is not good. If things are pretty status quo, do it, and then normal life can happen. We're at 7 months. He was doing amazing. Amazing. So I personally had weaned him down, but then I was noticing that I thought I wasn't producing a lot of milk during the day, and I thought that, oh no, since I'm not feeding him during the night, my supply is kind of tanking. I now am kind of thinking that I wasn't drinking enough water during the day that kind of week. So, that's kind of what my thinking now. But because of that, thinking back then, I wasn't making a lot of milk. I chose to add back in one feeding. And I added that feeding back at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was 5-6 hours after he goes to sleep, and then he has 4 to 5 hours left in the night to kind of go off that feeding before another one. So that, I believed, helped my supply. Now again, I upped my water intake, and I think that helped a lot. So, but we're still doing the middle of the night feeding. Now I have moved it to 12. So that's something that I chose to do. I will say he was doing amazing. And I say was only because this last week, he's turned 7 months, and I don't know what happened, if there is a sleep regression, or if he's growing, or if he's learning so much. I have no idea. But he started waking up in the nighttime again, but only once. He woke up in like the 12 o'clock hour, and because he hadn't done that in a while, I thought maybe something was wrong. I did go in there and I did pick him up. Do what you feel is comfortable to you, but I'm his mom, and crying means he needs me. And since it wasn't his normal anymore to wake up, to me that told me something was wrong. Whether it was serious or not, he needed his mom. And I was very comfortable with picking him up, because later that night or the next night, we can go back into routine. But in that moment, he needed me. So I chose to. Now, I fed him too. I fed him even though he was crying, even though you're not supposed to do that. Again, life happens. This is just our experience. So he has done that a few nights. He did that for, I think, 4 nights. But sleep training is absolutely life-changing, and I will forever be grateful, and I will forever be an advocate of sleep training. He puts himself to sleep at night, and now this is not because of sleep training. Sleep training is strictly for night. Night and naps are separate parts of the brain. They don't help each other. Like if you sleep train at night, they will not help naps. You sleep train naps, they will not help nights. Now there could be obviously some overlap, but it's not a foolproof scenario. We did kind of do our version. Now, Taking Care of Babies does have a nap course. We did not buy that. We kind of just used our knowledge from night sleep training, and we used a lot of those techniques for our nap training. He now puts himself to sleep for every single nap and every single night sleep. Now again, he wakes up sometimes, and that just is going to happen. But just a second ago, he woke up, rolled around a little bit, and he self-soothed and put himself right back to sleep, because he knows how to do that now. And the freeingness it has given me is something I will never take for granted, and I will forever be thankful for. I would get so anxious for nighttime because I knew I wasn't going to sleep. And now I get time with my husband. We get just a night, a couple hours to ourselves for, we get to do our own thing, or we get to spend it together. And that is just so amazing. So amazing. And to know that we're going to go to sleep and get a good amount of hours, whether it's all the way through or maybe he wakes up once, is again just such an amazing feeling. So I absolutely absolutely recommend sleep training, and I definitely recommend taking care of babies. I think it is easy to grasp. I think it is very doable, and I definitely think it allows for life to happen around you. I hope this answered some questions for any parents or moms that are thinking about doing sleep training. Just do it. Just do it. You're going to be so thankful. 14 days, when you say that and you're thinking, oh my gosh, my baby could be crying for 14 days. It's hard, right? But 14 days in the scheme of life is so small, and the benefits that you will reap from doing it is so worth it. So yes, I suggest it. I think you should do it if you are thinking about it, if you are on the fence. Definitely do it. You will be so thankful, and so will your baby. They really will. They'll be learning so much. They'll be storing so much of what they learn. Hopefully you'll have a happier baby. We definitely got a happier baby out of it. Obviously he still has his moods, but he's overall just a happy baby now. And he's way more independent, which is just such an amazing thing for both him and I. So I hope this answers any of your questions. Thank you again so much for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe if you are new. And if you want to turn on that bell, I'm going to be posting more videos. I'm going to be getting back into YouTube, back into vlog, back into sharing just things that I want to share. So anyway, that is it. That was my sleep training video. It was long, and if you made it, thank you. Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much. See you in the next one.